The strange woman standing on Hope's main street was so ordinary it was almost scandalous. A thin, plain figure dressed in an autumn coat much too grey and warm for the time of year, a rucksack lying on the ground by her feet, an enormous suitcase resting against one of her legs. Those who happened to witness her arrival couldn't help feeling it was inconsiderate for someone to care so little about their appearance, as though this woman was not the slightest bit interested in making a good impression on them. Her hair was a nondescript shade of brown, held back with a carelessly placed hair clip which didn't stop it flowing down over her shoulders in a tangle of curls. Where her face should have been, there was a copy of Louisa May Alcott's An Old-Fashioned Girl. She didn't seem to care at all that she was in Hope. It was as if she had just landed there, book and luggage and uncombed hair in tow, and might just as well have been in any other town in the world. She was standing on one of the most beautiful streets in Cedar County, maybe even the prettiest in the whole of southern Iowa. But the only thing she had eyes for was her book. But then again, she couldn't be entirely uninterested. Every now and again a pair of big grey eyes peeped up over the edge of the book, like a prairie dog sticking its head up to check whether the coast was clear. She would lower the book further and look sharply to the left, then swing her gaze as far to the right as she could without moving her head. Then she would raise the book and sink back into the story again. In actual fact, Sara had taken in almost every detail of the street. She would have been able to describe how the last of the afternoon sun was gleaming on the polished SUVs, how even the treetops seemed neat and well organized, and how the hair salon 50 meters away had a sign made from laminated plastic in patriotic red, white, and blue stripes. The scent of freshly baked apple pie filled the air. It was coming from the cafe behind her, where a couple of middle-aged women were sitting outside and watching her with clear distaste. That was how it looked to Sara, at least. Every time she glanced up from her book, they frowned and shook their heads slightly, as though she was breaking some unwritten rule of etiquette by reading on the street. She took out her phone and redialed. It rang 9 times before she hung up. So, Amy Harris was a bit late. Surely there would be a perfectly reasonable explanation. A flat tire, maybe. Out of petrol. It was easy to be. She checked her phone again. 2 hours and 37 minutes late. She wasn't worried. Not yet. Amy Harris wrote proper letters, on real, old-fashioned writing paper, thick and creamy. There wasn't a chance in the world that someone who wrote on proper, cream-coloured writing paper would abandon a friend in a strange town, or turn out to be a psychopathic serial killer with sadomasochistic tendencies, regardless of what Sara's mother said. "Excuse me, honey." A woman had stopped beside her. She gave Sara an artificially patient look. "Can I help you with anything?" the woman asked. A brown paper bag full of food was resting on her hip, a can of Campbell's tomato soup teetering perilously close to the edge. "No, thank you," said Sara. "I'm waiting for someone." "Sure." The woman's tone was amused and indulgent. The women sitting outside the cafe were following the whole conversation with interest. "First time in Hope?" "I'm on my way to Broken Wheel." Maybe it was just Sara's imagination, but the woman didn't seem at all satisfied with that answer. The can of soup wobbled dangerously. After a moment, the woman said, "It's not much of a town, I'm afraid, Broken Wheel. Do you know someone there?" "I'm going to stay with Amy Harris." Silence. "I'm sure she's on her way," said Sara. "Seems like you've been abandoned here, honey." The woman looked expectantly at Sara. "Go on." "Call her." Sara reluctantly pulled her phone out again. When the strange woman pressed up against Sara's ear to listen to the ringing tone, she had to stop herself from shrinking back. Doesn't seem to me like she's going to answer. Sara put the phone back in her pocket, and the woman moved away a little. What are you planning on doing there? Have a holiday. I'm going to rent a room. And now you've been abandoned here. That's a good start. I hope you didn't pay in advance. The woman shifted the paper bag over to her other arm and clicked her fingers in the direction of the seats outside the cafe. Hank, she said loudly to the only man sitting there, give this girl here a ride to Broken Wheel, okay? I haven't finished my coffee. So, take it with you then. The man grunted, but got obediently to his feet and disappeared into the cafe. If I were you, the woman continued, I wouldn't hand over any money right away. I'd pay just before I went home, and I'd keep it well hidden until then. She nodded so violently that the can of tomato soup teetered worryingly again. I'm not saying everyone in Broken Wheel is a thief, she added for safety's sake, but they're not like us. Hank came back with his coffee in a paper cup, and Sara's suitcase and rucksack were thrown onto the back seat of his car. Sara herself was guided carefully but firmly to the front seat. Go on, give her a ride over, Hank, said the woman, hitting the roof of the car twice with her free hand. She leaned towards the open window. You can always come back here if you change your mind.